Welcome to the BlackBerry Central Podcast, Episode 6. I'm Dylan, and joined today is Joy and Khalid. How you guys doing today?
Good, how are you doing?
Good, thanks. Good weather here in Waterloo. Today we're going up to about 20 Celsius, so that's a nice change from the crappy weather we've all had. This winter's been a real pain in the butt to us. But today we have a lot of cool topics to go over. First, I want to start off talking about the white BlackBerry Classic. That was just made available in the UK through Shop BlackBerry as well as Amazon. Joy, I know we talked a bit earlier. You're a BlackBerry device collector, essentially. How much does the white Classic interest you?
Well, any white device interests me, but I do definitely have my eye on the white.
Yeah.
It's I already had the black one, so having a white one would just be a little nicer, I think.
Yeah.
I like any device that grabs the attention with a different color.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was after some delay, of course. They announced the device at Mobile World Congress and said it's going to be available that month. But here we are now in May, and we're finally seeing it available. They had also said those two other colors were supposed to be available in April. But it doesn't look like they're going to make an appearance until June, according to some sources. What about you, Khalid, though? Are you a white device guy? Are you more towards the classic black?
I like the classic black. I've tried the Z30 and the Q10 in white, and I don't like how the LED, when it shines in the top corner, it kind of lights up outside of where it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but having used a Z30 in white, like you just said that you have, often the white device for BlackBerry comes with a different finish on the white. So the Z30 has a very slippery back. It doesn't have that grippy finish.
Yeah.
So based on what we've seen, like there's been some pictures, and I know there's some renderings going around because we have this sort of Photoshop contest going on, which Joy has been a big part of lately. I'm sure a lot of people watching have actually seen some of those. Some of them are pretty outrageous and funny. So we'll link her channel actually on the podcast. Definitely check it out. There's some cool ones on there. It's a cool device. From what we've seen, it looks like the back's going to be somewhat textured the same. I don't know if the actual feel of it's going to be different, but it looks very similar to the black sort of. I don't know how you want to call it, like proliferated sort of backing to it, like golf ball style. Definitely cool. We did post some pictures of a gold limited edition. A company had contacted us and said, hey, we're producing something cool. It's a limited edition 24 karat gold classic, and then a 9983. The really cool part about that is it's actually gold. When BlackBerry announced the gold BlackBerry Passport, it was just anodized coloring rather than anything actually gold. Would you guys, and I know it's $3,000, but would you guys ever throw your money at something like that?
If it really had an exclusivity to it, I would definitely. If it was something where I thought there were only going to be 50 of them.
Yeah.
It's so tempting,
Yeah, sure. What about you, Khalid?
If I had the money, I'm pretty sure I'd buy every color of every BlackBerry.
And later on today, I will be sharing the P9983 Porsche device in gold. That one's also limited edition. Looks like they're only making about 100 of each device. You can upgrade with diamonds for about $600 US more. The Porsche one obviously costs a little bit more. You're looking more $3,500 to $4,000. So, but definitely cool devices. And hopefully we see those other two colors pop up soon in terms of the blue and the bronze. I know a lot of people in a recent poll that I did were really looking at the blue one. The last blue device we saw was sort of the Q5, but also sort of the 9720. The Q5 we were actually looking at before we jumped on the podcast here, and the blue Q5 did make an appearance at the announcement, but never seemed to actually make it into production. So that was really cool. But they did do the 9720. But they both had the black displays, and we see the blue Classic has the blue display. So it's really cool that they're going all blue. if you guys had to pick between a blue or a bronze, what would you pick?
Blue.
Blue?
Of course, after white. White's always.
After white, yeah.
Yeah, blue. I'd say blue too.
Yeah.
But the bronze is also very sharp.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
It's a difficult decision. Oh, both. I say both.
Moving forward, we saw a loyalty program announced with Infobeam in India. I know a lot of people commented on our channel and they commented on the site saying, what about North America? Essentially, the program allows current BlackBerry 10 users to enter their PIN during checkout when attempting to upgrade to a new device such as the Z30, Z3, Passport, and the Classic. They can enter their device PIN of their current device and get up to 10,000 in rupee dollar off of that. Now, to put that in North American terms, you'd be looking at about $190 Canadian off of that device, or about $150 off in US dollars. So it's quite a hefty discount. Now, we were talking before we jumped on here about why in India and why not offer something like this in North America. But Joy brought up the good point that we do see a lot of coupon codes go out for US and Canada and even the UK offering, $100 off devices. And that's only for those specific countries. That's not for, someone in India couldn't redeem a Canadian $100 off a Passport. So what do you guys think? Should it be loyalty programs? Should they keep doing it kind of mixed up? Is there one way they should go?
Well, loyalty program to me sounds like I've been a BlackBerry customer for a long time, and I've purchased devices before. I'm loyal to the company. Loyalty program to me doesn't sound like, hey, let's buy a BlackBerry and you're going to get a savings. So I'm a little confused by the terminology of loyalty program. I would love to see an actual loyalty program put in place. You're a regular BlackBerry user, you're going to get a special discount every time you purchase a product. But I still think it's awesome that Indian marketplace is getting savings for a change.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Khalid? Do you think it should be a loyalty program or should they keep mixing it up with coupon codes?
I feel like there's a strategy. I don't know what the strategy is, but I feel like there is a strategy behind what they're doing, having it different for Canada compared to India.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a lot more. I'm sure there's a lot more users in India than here.
There could definitely be, with a larger population, especially government sectors out there as well, still trusting in BlackBerry for a good part of it.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if we see anything loyalty program-wise here in North America. In the meantime, we still have our coupon codes, and those have been doing just fine. And we also have the spring sale, which got extended to May 8th, which is really cool. So people can always check that out on the site or go to BlackBerry.com, and you'll get a pop-up immediately about the spring sale. Moving forward, let's talk about the BlackBerry key-in, because we saw some partial images leak, and then we got our first full image from BlackBerryCentral.com. Got a lot of mixed opinions. For the most part, we saw a big trend in people really liking the device. Speaking from a personal point, I know the key-in is the first Porsche device that I've genuinely been interested in actually purchasing. It has this sort of stealthy, almost Darth Vader sort of cool look to it. It's kind of stylish compared to some of the other devices that they've used. I know a lot of the design is inherited from the 9983. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? What do you guys think?
I think that the designs are, there's only so far that you can go with the Porsche designs. They're going to have a lot of similar design styles a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the interesting things will be the touch capacitive keyboard being integrated into that sort of glass keyboard, because the way they sold the 9983 was that it's got this glossy glass sort of styling in the keyboard. So it'll be really cool to see how that's integrated in terms of the touch capacity. Is it going to be smoother? Is it going to be a little bit awkward? Khalid, is this something you see yourself buying?
If I had the money, 100%.
Yeah. And we're looking
This
at,
is the first one that I would actually consider out of all the Porsche devices, though, because the specs make sense.
yeah, it's the first one that justifies the cost in
Yeah.
comparison to the other devices. So it'd be cool to see. I know I would have almost been interested to see a classic Porsche device, even though the specs wouldn't have been there. It would have made sense in terms of iteration, looking back at how they've done the devices so far. Another touchscreen one would have been cool too, almost. If they did something completely out of the woods and actually did a unique specs for that device. I think that would have been really cool too. Offer some kind of 1080p device with some higher end specs and really sell it and justify that cost.
Yeah.
So that would be cool. And we've talked about this, I think, in the last podcast and on the site, of course, that we're expecting the key in around August, September. So, but there's been a lot of mixed stuff about the timeline, which we're going to get to in a bit. The next thing I wanted to touch on was the 10.3.2 beta. I know Joy had gotten the survey. Khalid did not, unfortunately. But there's a reason why they're expanding it. Why that is, I'm not entirely sure. I know a few weeks back that they had started planning some things. Basically, they want to send out around 2,000 or more surveys to beta participants, or beta zone participants, I should say, allowing them the opportunity to get in on the 10.3.2 beta testing. To me, it doesn't make an entirety amount of sense when it comes to the actual OS itself, given that 10.3.2 is really more of a maintenance release compared to something like 10.2 to 10.3 beta testing, which would have made a lot more sense to expand the program then. Who knows what they're doing? But does beta testing really interest you guys? I know that when something pops up like 10.3.2.304 came out, that's the most recent build of it that's been out there. It became available in the beta zone, and then later that day, it's available publicly because someone leaked it. So in today's standings, does beta testing still interest you, being on the inside when you can still get the same essentially product on the outside without even being part of the program?
It does. I have always enjoyed beta testing, and anytime I'm invited into a program, I love it. And I think that the reason why I love it is because it gives me an opportunity that the people who get the leak later don't have, which is to provide feedback. So I can still do the surveys, still offer my feedback, still talk to my friends and gather their information and offer their feedback along with my own. And that's something that you can't do if you're running leaks.
Sure. Good point.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they do in terms of how many people they actually bring on. I believe the deadline to submit those surveys is May 5th, and you're probably looking at about May 10th before they start bringing on the majority of people. So it'd be really cool to see how many people they actually bring onto the program. I know in the past they really restricted it in terms of how many people are actually allowed, what region they're from. They only allowed certain regions to participate, certain devices, for example. I know even on their survey, they didn't have all the classic models listed that are technically available. So there's some weird things going on there. We'll have to see how that develops. If you do have Beta Zone, be sure to check in the survey section, see if you got a 10.3.2 invite, fill out the survey submitted before May 5th, and hopefully you see a full invitation to the program. Moving forward, I want to talk about the roadmap. We've gone over it so many times in the past podcasts, and that's why I encourage people to watch them, because we do reveal a lot of cool stuff about when things are supposed to be taking place. To talk on the roadmap, we had the Leap in April. We're supposed to have the Oslo in June, the Key in around August, September, and then the Venice, or as we call it, the Glide, in October. Recently, John Chen did an interview on CNBC and a few other media outlets talking about the roadmap, saying, we're expecting the Venice later on this year, but he's not sure about the other two devices. Khalid, when you hear them announce at Mobile World Congress, these are the 4 devices for this year, and then you hear Chen say something like that, What's your immediate reaction?
It's scary. I don't. He doesn't usually go back on what he says.
Right. Why do you think he could be going back?
It, there could be a possibility that he's canceling these. Like if he's delaying these devices, there's a possibility that it's not. Maybe the passport's not getting the traction that he wants because they're the two passport devices, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like passport variants.
Yeah.
So.
And Joy, what do you think? Is there a real reason behind delaying them? Do you think Chen was like, okay, yeah, maybe it does not make entire sense to launch a low-end passport and a high-end passport when you already have an AT&T passport, a red passport, a white passport, and the regular design. So what's your take on it?
Well, I agree with Khalid. I think that there's a possibility that maybe that device is just seeing its share of people who are going to be interested in it. It's really just changing the design of it at this point. Or it could be that China's just got something else up his sleeve. He's a little bit tricky sometimes.
Yeah. So it could be some kind of cryptic message too. And we won't know for a while. We'll have to see, because June is the next stop for us. Next month, are we going to see that device, the Oslo, pop out? Um, I know a
Do
lot
we know that the Oslo is one of the devices he was talking about, or the Kian was one of the devices he was talking about?
people have asked that question a lot of times. The Kian is 110% one of the devices he was talking about because at Mobile World Congress they did say we have a Porsche device codenamed the Kian.
Okay.
So that's a guarantee, and of course the slider is a guarantee. When it comes to the Oslo, that is a genuine BlackBerry device. I can tell you that. It's more of a hearsay kind of thing, essentially.
Yeah.
Um, and then a lot of people ask, like, why? Does it make sense to you guys to launch a low-end passport, something at a lower, like maybe half the cost for developing markets where they can get the device at a lower cost?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the price point of the passport is between $5.99, $6.99. That's a high price point for somebody who, you know, is paying for their own device, doing they're not getting it through some mobile phone company. They're just, that's a lot of money. So yeah, absolutely. To have something that might price point out around $300 or $400 would be way better for them.
Yeah.
Especially if he's trying to get into China.
Yeah. That one's been really, that's an interesting topic because we look at the requirements to even really get into China again. You start talking about the government wanting to essentially have access to a lot of the encryptions, and really getting into what BlackBerry has. It means that BlackBerry has to give up a lot of stuff in terms of how much they reveal to them because, of course, you have to go through the government before you can really even get in there.
Yeah.
And then we've talked about Lenovo. There's been a lot of rumors there because Lenovo is the big guy out there, working with the government, and has that entrance already. And BlackBerry could sort of leap with them, or use them to sort of hijack that train. I have no idea. It's really confusing to me. I've never been more confused about a roadmap out of all of BlackBerry's internal stuff. It wows me when you look at the roadmap. It just makes no sense right now.
Yeah.
The only reason I could see them canning any of the devices would be the Oslo, primarily because they didn't really talk about it. They said it was a keyboard-based device, which it is, but it's not something they talked about. They didn't show it off, and then it's low end. It's something you could easily scrap without it being a disappointment. Really, I mean, there's some people who would be disappointed, but you're not canceling the slider, for example. So what I could see is them just doing the Leap as their low-end device, the Porsche as their high-end device, and then the Slider as their premium enterprise device, just like they did with the classic Passport and Z3, and do sort of a three lineup there. It can make complete sense to do that.
Yeah.
And that's maybe why he said, I don't know about the other two. Not saying both of them are canceled, but saying we're unsure about the timeline for those two devices. And maybe there is some kind of China deal going on that's caused an interruption in terms of getting the Oslo actually into China or some of the emerging markets. We don't know that. So it'll be really interesting. If you guys had to pick between the 4 devices for this year, how would you pick them in order? Would you pick Leap first? Would you pick the Oslo, the Key-in, or the Slider first, and then go in that order? Joy, since you're a BlackBerry tester,
Absolutely the Slider device number 1.
Yeah.
Slider device all the way.
Okay.
I would put the Key-in second because it is a port device, and because that whole story that goes behind it of our friend Ryan, whose son the device is named after, is just very close to my heart.
Yeah.
Then I would say probably the Oslo, because I think a less expensive passport device is important. The Leap has no value to me whatsoever. I'm sorry.
Yeah. What about you, Khalid? What's the order for you?
Exact same order. I cannot wait for the Slider.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people, they stay with the Slider. They're like, it's a blessing in a lot of ways because it's technically a touchscreen phone. You don't have to use the keyboard.
Yeah.
Do you guys see yourselves using the keyboard, or would you be more inclined to use the touchscreen?
You first, Khalid.
I use the keyboard. I've gotten so used to it now because I've switched over to the Passport and the Classic for both my work phone and my personal phone. So
Yeah.
I'm used to using the keyboard.
Yeah.
But there are those times where you're sitting in a meeting or you're sitting in a place that's very quiet and you don't want to be clicking your phone. So I mean, I would still use the on-screen.
Yeah, it's nice to have both. Like, it gives you options. That's a nice part about it. But what about you, Joy?
Oh, absolutely the same thing. Just the idea that you have the option to use the device in either way is amazing to me, you know. I used to be completely all touchscreen. I went Z10, Z30. I didn't want anything to do with a physical keyboard. And when I got my Q10, I couldn't get used to it. I put that phone down after a week and went back to Z30. Now, when I got the Passport, with the screen, with the physical keyboard being a little bit larger, a little bit more, you know, can't think of the right word. It's just a nicer keyboard, and just with the magical lighting features that it has.
Yeah.
I love that, and now I'm physical keyboard all the way. And when I try to pick up an all touch device, I'm like, I don't know what to do with this, you know.
Yeah.
So I think having that versatility of being able to be both is just amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a solid, really great device that everybody's going to want. Any BlackBerry fan is going to want that phone.
Even non-BlackBerry fans. I showed what was it, BB Vietnam, those pictures. I showed that to my younger brother who's a Sony Xperia user, and he's like, hands down, I'm buying that on the release date.
Cool.
Anybody who sees that phone, you're right, not just BlackBerry users, anybody who sees the device and sees that amazing versatility is going to be attracted to it. And if they're not, there's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
And all of us here are Passport users. Do you think the keyboard on the Glide needs to be touch capacitive, or would it be okay if it wasn't?
It's not okay if it's not. It's just not okay.
And Joy, you're the same? Do you think it needs to be?
I mean, why wouldn't it be at this point? This phone offers every other, you know, versatility that you would want. Why not offer that as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
I find myself sometimes typing on a computer keyboard and trying to swipe back on it to delete words. Like it has to be.
Yeah. And then the other element that's still in question is the software, of course. You know, Chen saying, I've got something else up my sleeve in terms of the apps. And I'm not talking Amazon store. I'm talking something else. And of course, we squashed the rumors of the Tizen OS being tied into BlackBerry 10. Some silly rumors going on there. What about an Android BlackBerry 10 hybrid with hypervisor? Do you guys think that they should layer BlackBerry 10 on Android or vice versa? Like, what do you guys want to see implemented so that way you can get more access to apps? Or are apps even necessary to you?
I don't know. We can get anything we want, really. Like if people are worried about Instagram, you can get Instagram. The only thing is Snapchat, but really, how important is that to? Like, yeah, a lot of people use it, but learn to live without it. Not a big deal.
Yeah, yeah. It's BlackBerry's market. Like, are they so app centric that it's this necessary to get to the point where it's like we need Google Play services or else we can't compete? Because I feel like I know myself personally, I'm a younger guy, but I don't use many apps on a daily basis. I use productivity stuff. I use project managing apps. I use some of the native stuff. I'm not a guy who's like, I need Instagram, I need Snapchat, I need Tumblr. I don't need that stuff. Like, I don't need the games. I don't play games on my phone. So I'm curious about the demographic. If the true BlackBerry users actually even need those core apps when it comes to Android, because there's that debate. If you need those apps, then why don't you just buy an Android phone? Like, if it's that important to you that you need that Android integration, why not just go buy a Galaxy? But Joy, what's your take on all the Android stuff?
Well, I mean, I can remember not too long ago having to attach my BlackBerry to a laptop and sideload bar files and change bar files from APK files. So having Google Play Store, having Snap, whatever you decide to use to get your Android apps, it's just so much easier and amazing. But I'm the same as you, Dylan. I don't really use a lot of apps. Okay, I'm a social apps kind of girl, so yes, Instagram is very important to me. But I don't play any games on my phone. I don't Words with Friends or Trivia Crack or any of those other things. So those aren't important to me.
Right. Yeah. So it's a huge debate, and it's I'm curious to see what they do, because we know it's at this point we know it's not coming with 10.3.2. We're going to be looking at some new software, and it's all a mystery and it's a guessing game, and that's part of that's exciting too. Yeah, everyone's imagination can run as wild as they want.
Well, it has to be exciting because if you think about it, I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
No,
but if you think about it, when I was talking about the bar files and the APK files and how we have to use to, load up and sideload, and then the next step came, now you don't have to do that anymore. You can get some OTA apps. You can do this.
mm-hmm.
Or then it was with Snap. Now all you have to do is sideload Snap, and you can get anything that you want. You only have to sideload the one app. And then it was Google Play Store. Now you don't have to sideload anything. You can go through these features and download these files, and now you can have anything you want. Yeah. So whatever the next step is just going to be that much better. We're definitely not going backwards. We're going forwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be a huge step, though, because anything that's actually coming from BlackBerry is like a big step. Being able to download APKs from your phone was huge. I mean, the Snap and the Google Play, that wasn't actually done by BlackBerry. That's something that people have figured out to do. But when it comes to what BlackBerry's next step would be, it'll be big, whatever it is.
You won't have to worry about whether or not you need Google Play services anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, so it'll definitely be something cool, and definitely something to look forward to. The last thing I wanted to touch on was Khalid kind of mentioned it, was some really cool renderings that popped up yesterday, kind of, originally via BB Vietnam, and then we found out they come from a studio, and I'm going to say it wrong, but I think it's Hotia or Hotia, I don't even know. Definitely some really awesome renderings, though. What I'm going to do is do a quick screen share, and we can all take a quick look at them. So, of course, whoever did these did a really tremendous job. We had seen some 3D renderings pop up over the past week or two, but nothing comes even close to how well these are done. So I'm going to flip through them. You guys can check these out on BlackBerryCentral.com. I'm going to have a full page up about the same time that the podcast goes live. What do you guys think of it? What's your opinion on it?
It's nice. It's unbelievably nice. My only problem is the sides where the glass is right like that, mm-hmm. where it curves.
Yeah.
Doesn't look as much. It doesn't look like the S6 Edge or whatever. It's
Yeah.
because they're getting it from Samsung, right?
Yeah. So these curves are a little bit perhaps too sharp.
Yeah.
Put it in a word, but it's definitely overall the most realistic concept we've seen to date.
Oh yeah.
You can tell that whoever did it really took the time to look at some of the images that were out there. And they put the speaker grill, they even put the USB on the bottom. They spend a lot of time. Joy, wow, what's your take?
The images are amazing. They're very detail specific. There were some other images that came out this week as well that these actually put the other ones to shame. I mean, they're just fantastic. If this is what the device is going to be like, it's definitely something everybody's going to want.
Yeah. It's super cool. So definitely a hats off and a pat on the back to whoever created these over at the studio there. This was our favorite. I know we were looking through these before the podcast. Just how well that keyboard is done. Like, out of all the features, they just did a really good job on that keyboard.
Yeah.
The buttons look like my passport buttons. They look very realistic.
Yeah. So hopefully we see some touch capacitiveness to them. 4-row keyboard. I know a lot of people are going, oh, I hope it doesn't have 3-row, because they would have been a little bit disappointed. But cool to see that they're going with a 4-row. If it's touch capacitive, all the better. Any final comments from you guys about any of the topics we talked about today?
Just looking forward to what we're going to see in the near future.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Definitely a treat to have you guys on today's podcast. And that wraps up episode 6. So thanks to everyone watching. A question I want to ask the viewers is, out of all the BlackBerry devices slated for this year, which one are you looking forward to the most? And that's a bit of a loaded question when you look at what we're supposed to be getting. So thanks to everyone who's watching, and we'll see you guys in the next podcast.